We are talking The Dead of Night. This one is directed and written by Robert Dean and quote-unquote stars Lance Henriksen. Why do I say quotes? Because he's in it for about 2 minutes. Anyway, and this is kind of a horror thriller that is reminiscent of the movie The Strangers in a lot of ways. It's a small kind of out of the way sort of town, and there is a community that includes his brother and sister, and they are kind of somewhat at odds. But there also seems to be 2 killers that dress up in wolfskin and just seem to be going out killing people for no real reason. And they come afoul of this family, this brother and sister, and they have a few friends on when they're having a little bit of a get-together. What will happen? You'll have to watch the movie to find out. So, let's talk about what works in this movie. I have to say, I thought the acting was excellent in this film. All our characters seem like real people. I really enjoyed their kind of their salt of the earth, realistic characters who have complex relationships where, you know, there are grey areas in each of their kind of point of views, if that makes sense. So there's no kind of like, oh, this guy's, you know, a complete douche, or, you know, she's kind of like completely altruistic. I think most characters here have layers, and that's great. You know, you want to be able to attach yourself to characters, and that's a big thing in my book. So I thought the actors did a great job, and they're well written characters, and the actors do a great job of portraying them as kind of real people. That was good. I think our killers are interesting because they're a little bit like the Strangers in the fact that we don't really know anything about them. We don't really know what their modus operandi is. They seem to be somewhat deranged, but somewhat kind of organised at the same time. They have an interesting look in regards to their kind of like wolf skins and stuff, and seem particularly brutal. In actual fact, I think, to be honest with you, the first kill that we see, that to me was the most brutal, because I don't want to give anything away really, but it was like someone was trying to do something kind to a victim, and they just really did nasty things. So it's kind of shocking in kind of that regard. There's also quite a, I have mixed feelings about this, and I'll come on to that. There's a little bit of a surprise ending here that certainly I think you won't see coming, but I think maybe it came out a little bit out of nowhere to a point. Anyway, we'll come on to that. But nonetheless, I thought, wow, that was a little bit of an interesting, unique twist to the kind of the end of this movie. Not the very end, because that's the normal FU moment. But you'll know what if you see it, basically. What doesn't work? This movie takes a hell of a long time to get going. I mean, it just is family drama for a long portion of this running time. But it just drags in places. It doesn't really seem to go anywhere with this kind of like the actual narrative. When we do get our showdown, it's pretty good. And I quite liked it. It was quite quite kind of like satisfying in some ways. But it just took a hell of a lot of time to get there, and it just feels like the plot is meandering or kind of all over the place with tertiary characters who have really little impact on the kind of the story that's being sort of told here. But on that subject, again, I don't want to spoil anything here. We get this kind of twist ending that I feel was only it wasn't set up. I mean, it's kind of like there's kind of like, it's not completely unaddressed. I'll say that. But what we see happening, to me, it wasn't built up enough. It's kind of like, surprise, it's something you really didn't expect, and then look at me for having a clever ending. Not really, because it really wasn't, we didn't get any idea that might happen, if that makes sense. So I think the ending, although it was kind of something that was kind of fun and came out of nowhere, it wasn't earned, if I'm completely honest. The killers themselves, although they have a kind of a cool look, because there's so much time spent with just kind of family drama, they almost feel periphery to the actual main sort of story in a way. They only really come into it relatively sort of late in the game, to be honest. And then we never really get a sense that they're stalking or a scary build up. They just seem to kind of like are there. So we don't really. There's not a lot of tension building with them. So it feels less of a horror film in a way, and more of kind of a thriller in a way. So it's filmed less like a horror film, is what I'm saying. Because you just don't get that kind of that stalking, that sense that people are being hunted. All of a sudden there's a killer there, if that makes sense. So it was okay, if you ask me. It was watchable. I think it's well acted. I think the killers have an interesting gimmick. Although I don't know why they're making animal noises all the time. I know they're wearing these things, but there's elements here where they need to communicate, and so they just howl and stuff. And I don't know. So there are some logic issues to me with this film in regards to the killers. But there you go. It's okay. I just don't think anything special really. I'll give it a 5 out of 10. Have you seen it? What did you think of it? Leave me a comment, and I'll look forward to seeing you next time. Bye for now.